Hey everyone, just a quick note before the show. I am in the midst of some sickness. Some foreign interloper is attempting to crawl into my body and cause sinus-related illness, and it's trying to steal my voice most of all. So I tried to excise as much as I could of the parts where it's annoying to a degree. I hope you can see past it and take in the content for itself. Yeah, I appreciate you guys listening, and well, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Appreciate you guys. Take care of yourselves.
Bye!
Did I wake you? I'm sorry. Go back to sleep in the dirty laundry. Hello, everybody. You beautiful, intelligent, impeccably tasteful listeners. Welcome to the show. My name is Michael Luck. I am your host of this, the Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast podcast, the podcast. Today's episode is an installment, a further installment in an intermittent series called the Occult Crime Atlas. We're going to the tippy top of the bottom of the world, a little place I like to call Antarctica. And it's a good thing that I like to call it that, because that's what it's named. I hope to make this episode a one-stop shop for just about everything weird, conspiratorial, ufology, adjacent, etc., related to Antarctica. There are certain aspects, certain stories, conspiracy theories that I'm not going to delve too heavily into, but they will be mentioned. You can kind of consider this AP, an advanced conspiracy theorist class. Like I'm starting out as assuming that most listeners of this show have a pretty basic, like, introductory level of conspiracy theory and UFO lore, etc. So I will do my best. Like, if I come across something that I'm talking about adjacent or related topics to, I will try to give a concise and quick as possible kind of overview of anything. But yeah, I've crammed in a lot of weirdness to this episode, as much as I could find and tolerate. Now, occult and crime. What? Antarctica? Yes, crimes have happened in Antarctica, and they are largely unsolved. The truth is hidden to us, hence occult, and that is my flimsy prerequisite for including it in this series. Really more, it's a lot of the occult themes and ideas and mythology that spring from Antarctica that have inspired shitty people to do shitty things. That would probably be the biggest part. But I think that there's something inherently intrinsic, redundant, to even just the concept of Antarctica that speaks to or subliminally tickles the undercarriage of the subconscious. There's something to this place that evokes something primordial. Perhaps it's the secrecy, the desolation, just the mystery of the place. Because our oceans, only 5% explored. Last I heard, that's the percentage they were going with. And this place. And it's kind of odd that out of all the places in the world that are undoubtedly just rife for the pickings when it comes to, say, drilling for oil or mining for precious minerals, precious jewels, Betty. Antarctica is probably housing untold millions upon billions of something to use. And yet, this is a place that everyone, every nation, pretty much, got together and signed a non-exploitation pact regarding Antarctica. And there are several nations, including the United States, Russia as well. Those would be the biggies, last I checked, that have a considerable scientific, exploratory, and military presence in Antarctica. So just to clarify, the Antarctic Treaty designates the continent for peaceful scientific purposes, banning military activity, and holding territorial claims in abeyance. Strange that there is quite an abundant military presence of several nations there, but moving on. Signed in 1959, the treaty established freedom of scientific investigation and cooperation, prohibited nuclear explosions and waste disposal, and created the Antarctic Treaty System, or ATS, to manage international relations concerning Antarctica south of the 60-degree south latitude line. This is the height of the Cold War, too. Like, the real high. 1959? Holy shit. This is when they were telling kids to tuck their heads between their legs and kiss their ass goodbye. Height of the Cold War. And this treaty is signed. There are others as well. But looking at the time frame that this treaty was signed, those would be the primaries. And just that fact alone, that this is the biggest continent. This is the biggest one. And that's not just, that's all land that has to have considerable resources. And everyone got together and signed this pact. It's almost as if they know or discovered something that was just, we don't want to wake up, whatever it is. We don't want to open that can of worms. Even if there's a Cracker Jack prize at the bottom of those worms. Yum, yum. Just that in itself is very strange. Just being fully aware and cognizant of humanity's need to just dominate nature and just exploit the ever-loving shit out of it. And nobody's touching Antarctica. It's very strange. Just that alone. But we're going to get into much stranger. Chilly Willy. We're going to get into some really weird shit. So put on some long undies, because we're going down. Down, down, down. Way down. To the tippy tops opposite. The bitty bottom of the world. To be an Antarctican, where at least I know I freeze. In this installment of Occult Crime Atlas, Antarctica. Hyphen. Wait, is it hyphen? Yeah, hyphen, or something like that. High and deep. High strangeness, deep weirdness. And hopefully by the end of this episode, we can have one of those dramatic movie moments where everyone, no matter where they are, at a sporting event, where the ragtag, not ready for primetime players, the underdogs win. Or in an airport where a guy just professed his love to a woman who's about to walk out of his life forever. No matter where you are, where people are listening, they will stand up and they will say, I am an Antarctican. Followed by a dramatic slow clap. Because I think that anyone who has heard the final speech from Revenge of the Nerds, anyone who's felt like an outsider, an outcast, an exile, just a real piece of shit, bottom of the barrel, fucking just useless fucking human being, but one with secrets and mysteries, can say from the bottom of their heart and the heart of their bottom that I am an Antarctican. That'd work better if I had, a crowd of people around me. But I think you get the gist. I, personally, am willing to lead the charge to say I claim my Antarctic citizenship, heritage, and nationality, integrity, because I am a fucking weirdo. Bombasticality. We're all a little bit of Antarctican deep inside somewhere, aren't we? Just say yes for the purposes of this. So, without a lot of further ado, a quick word from our sponsors. Boy, howdy, it sure is cold in Antarctica. I just made a weird noise out of my body. Did you hear it? Kept on mic? Nah, I'm leaving it in. That's a physiological response to just thinking about the coldness of Antarctica. And feeling the coldness of Antarctica makes you want to have a drink to warm yourself up. But after thoroughly warming yourself up, what of the consequences? What then? Hangovers? Haha! Not for you, listeners, our intrepid Antarctic explorers, because you have high intelligence and impeccable taste. And that's why you use liqueur gummies. Liquure. Liqueur. Liqueur gummies combine DHM, milk thistle, B vitamins, and ginger root to help your body recover after drinking. They fight fatigue, or fatigue, if you want to say it the boring old-fashioned way, nausea, and dehydration, so you wake up feeling refreshed. Try them for faster recovery and enjoy an exclusive discount with my promo code ICON, ICON, at liqueur.com, liquure.com, for 20% off any product. What is the deal? The deal is 20% off any product. Go to liqueur.com and get yourself no more hangovers. Brilliant. You know, when preparing for a trip to Antarctica, it takes a lot of planning, tactical thought, and what George W. Bush called strategery, I think. Maybe that was Will Ferrell doing an impression of him, but I'm pretty sure that actually happened. Anyways, it's hectic. It takes a lot out of you. Probably wouldn't hurt to have something help you calm down. Luckily, there's Shimmerwood beverages. Shimmerwood's award-winning CBD seltzers combine full-spectrum CBD with natural fruit shrubs, delivering a refreshing, stress-relieving drink that eases tension and promotes relaxation. Enjoy an exclusive discount with my promo code ICON, ICON, at shimmerwood.com for 30% off any product, exclusively through Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclasts, the podcast. Shimmerwood.com. Go, no, do it. Don't make me use the supraliminal advertising. You all know what subliminal ads are. Don't make me get supraliminal. It's just me going, do it, buy it, do it! To highly aggressive music. Get yourself some Shimmerwood beverages and chill out, so you won't have to do anything supraliminally. Shimmerwood.com. Brilliant. Antarctica. Antarctica is exactly nothing. It's a blank. A vast frozen abyss. It's dead air, is what it is. It's a void. It's a psychic and a mythic void. And wherever there is a void of info, a dearth of data, if you will, myth, legend, folklore, and especially conspiracy theory creep in. Antarctica is one big-ass void. Before the whispers of Nazi bases, alien signals, or secret expeditions ever reached the frozen South, Antarctica itself was already a landscape of impossibilities. It's not just another continent. It's a world that seems to reject the rules of nature. Take Blood Falls, for instance, at the edge of the Taylor Glacier. What up, T-Money? A crimson cataract pours from the ice, staining the snow like a slow-motion wound. Rosebud. It was a sled. Spoiler. When the phenomenon was first discovered in 1911, explorers assumed it was algae. But modern analysis revealed something stranger. An underground lake sealed off for nearly 2 million years. Millennia. Rich in iron and teeming with microbial life that somehow thrives without sunlight or oxygen. Extremophiles, I believe they're called. When that brine seeps out and meets the air, it's like a salty rim. The iron oxidizes, rusting the ice itself into a ghastly red hue. A hue of rue. A rue-hue. It's less a waterfall than a bleeding glacier, a place where life proves it doesn't care what rules the planet set. Then there's the diamond dust, a popular new street drug that mothers can't get enough of. No, it's the kind of thing you'd expect from a fever dream. On the coldest days, when the temperatures fall below -40 Celsius, the air itself crystallizes. Minute ice particles hang suspended, turning the atmosphere into a glittering haze. Sometimes the phenomena forms sundogs, twin halos that flank the sun. The sun's dogs. Well, some of my dogs with me. Sun got a running crew. Like ghostly columns of light that rise vertically from the horizon. It's easy to see when early polar explorers spoke of ice spirits or frozen angels. The entire sky can shimmer as though the world has been placed inside a snow globe. Rosebud. Beneath the sea ice, other marvels hide in plain sight. One of the strangest is the brinicle, which makes me think of my brain in my 20s, but no. It's a rare underwater formation known as an ice stalactite of death. When supercooled saline water escapes from the sea ice above, it sinks heavier than the water around it, and it instantly freezes everything it touches. The result is a descending column of ice that crawls down towards the sea floor, encasing starfish, sea urchins, and anything else unlucky enough to be in its path. Nature in this corner of the world doesn't merely preserve, it entombs. It mutilates. And even the skies seem alive here. Auroras ripple above the polar plateau. Electric curtains of green and violet that dance across the magnetosphere. Green and violet, two colors that go together beautifully. Sometimes they flicker silently, other times accompanied by a low-frequency chorus of waves. Real, measurable, electromagnetic sounds that can be picked up by radio equipment. Explorers once believed that these were the voices of the gods, or perhaps the cries of lost souls trapped within the aurora itself. Sounds a little something like this. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Hold on. I hit the wrong button. 1 second. God damn it, son of a bitch. Oh, well, hold on. I got it almost. I got it. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Okay, sorry about that. Hold on. Sorry. Here's this is the real one. That was an accident. It was an accident, y'all. It goes like this. This is just the sound in the air. You just stand around, minding your own. And this surrounds you. All of this. Blood that bleeds from the ice, glittering air, frozen fingers descending into the deep, dogs and cats living together, you know I had to throw that one in, reminds us that Antarctica doesn't need mythology to be terrifying. It's already an alien planet on our own world, a place where natural processes mimic the supernatural, where the boundary between science and sorcery seems paper thin. Deep beneath the ice, some researchers have speculated, lie the remnants of a hyper-civilization, sealed by time and probably some ice. A major clue is the so-called Wilkes Land Crater, a massive 300-plus mile-wide circular anomaly buried under East Antarctica, first proposed in the 1960s. While standard geology treats it as a possible meteor impact site, occult and conspiracy writers suggest it might be the collapsed vault of a lost civilization, or even a cavernous entrance to the hollow Earth. Some fringe theorists point to the buried mass concentration, or MassCon, as they call it. When I first read that, I thought it was just some asshole trying to save time, or say tie. But no, it's an actual word, meaning mass concentration. They point to it as evidence that something other than rocks lie beneath the ice. And then there's Anita. Who's Anita, you ask? Well, Anita was a balloon experiment. I knew it. And Anita is an acronym. It stands for Antarctic Impulsive Transient Antenna. And it detected radio pulses that appear to originate from beneath the ice sheet at steep angles, defying current physics. Scientists remain stumped, but the mythic imagination considers such signals to come from below the hollow ice. And this is proof to believers that Antarctica still hums with suppressed secrets. Some conspiracists lean into the idea that these pulses might be communications with a covert base, or artifacts of hidden technologies buried beneath the ice. Together, these threads propose that the frozen continent is not just remote, it is concealing. It hides anomalies that challenge scientific expectation, and it invites the narratives of secret bases, fallen angels imprisoned beneath the tundra, or alien-seeded hybrids matured in icy labs. Whether these ideas hold literal truth, or serve merely as symbolic amplifiers, or third possibility, just plain fucking stupid. We don't do that here. We don't judge ideas. This is a safe space for ideas. If you're physically a human weirdo, we've reached capacity. Moving on. These ideas, they all enhance Antarctica's aura of being the axis of the unknown. Axis of the unknown. The extreme environment as a mirror of humanity's fears and curiosity. A vast frozen Rorschach test. So just running through what we already know and has been scientifically cataloged and verified as making this place weird as fuck. And these are just the natural facets of this place. We got blood falls, a waterfall that runs with blood red water due to iron oxide in the salt water, creating a striking contrast in the ice. There are the McMurdo Dry Valleys. It's one of the driest places on Earth. When most people think of a desert, they think of basic bitch Sahara. But myself And you wonderful people, you probably think of the vast icy expanses of Antarctica. And if you didn't before, well, welcome to the winning team. These valleys are a polar desert hosting life despite the harsh, snow-free conditions. There's the Gamburtsev mountain range, a vast mountain range hidden beneath the Antarctic ice sheet, larger than the Alps. There are hidden lakes, over 200 liquid lakes, like Lake Vostok, that are located beneath the ice sheet, some of which may contain ancient isolated ecosystems, shadow biospheres, still unknown to us. There are the brinicles, as mentioned before, frozen fingers of death. These are icicles that form under the sea, freezing everything they touch as they reach the sea floor. Okay, I just swallowed some Chore Boy, and I hope that causes my voice to behave from this point on. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry. I don't take care of myself. Moving on. There are mirages. This is a desert, after all. Antarctica is known for strange mirages like the Fata Morgana, which can distort the appearance of icebergs and the horizon. There are striped icebergs with dark and light stripes caused by layers of trapped dust or algae. There's colored snow. Nope, not yellow. Well, I'm sure there is some of that. But red, black, and green. Right on. This is often due to algae or mineral deposits. And then these last two, I think, are very telling of the environment. If there were any natural features that I think sum up the alien landscape, it's going to be these two. First one is katabatic winds. Katabatic winds. Antarctica is the windiest continent. Move over Chicago, experiencing extreme katabatic winds that form as cold, dense air flows down slopes. And these winds produce constant infrasound, known to instill within people a strange sense of unseen presence, a dread, paranoia. No.
You are freaking out, man.
And then there's meteorite hunting. The clear icy landscape makes it easy to spot dark meteorites that have landed on the ice, making it one of the best places on Earth to find them. Now, I'm not going to go into the intense meaning and mythology and folklore attributed to things that fall from the sky. I don't think I have to. I think it's inherently within our human nature to attach great significance to these things. As a matter of fact, in the Tibetan mountains, iron meteorites will fall from the sky, and they will forge statues from these iron meteorites. They're known as Iron Men. Before Marvel got the copyrights. Daggers for exorcism, too. And these possess great power in the Buddhist mind. You know what? I don't consider myself a straight-up Buddhist. I see eye to eye with a lot of the thoughts and beliefs. But I am willing to go on a limb and say, yes, I do believe there is likely some inherent otherworldly power. And by otherworldly, I mean not of this world. So literally, otherworldly power inherent to these magical daggers, iron meteorite sculptures, those two. So who knows what's landed on the broadside of the biggest possible target on planet Earth, this being Antarctica. This is a place where reality and legend coexist, where time and perception warp. A disorienting landscape where the regular laws of nature do not apply. As far as actual recorded mysteries, i.e. mysterious or unexplained disappearances and deaths, oh yeah, we've got those as well. Yeah. Mysterious deaths and disappearances in Antarctica include the unresolved 1965 disappearance of physicist Carl Robert Disch. And then there's the 2000 methanol poisoning of astrophysicist Rodney Marks at the South Pole. Other cases involve researchers like Dennis Tink Bell, who I'm sure is haunting whoever was so kind to give him such a nickname. His body was recovered 66 years after he fell into a crevasse in 1959, and 3 scientists who disappeared in 1982 after a party, presumed to have fallen through the thin sea ice. Just saying that 3 scientists disappeared after a party in Antarctica. My entire, I don't know, I guess it's 2-3 years now doing this podcast. You write and say some of the weirdest things that you would never, ever, ever, under any other circumstances whatsoever, say or write. I love it. I love those moments. Carl Robert Dish was an ionospheric physicist who vanished on his commute to the main station from the radio noise building at the Byrd Station, Admiral Richard E. Byrd, on May 8th, 1965. A search was launched, but extreme winds and cold conditions ultimately prevented the discovery of his body. Years later, a man claiming to be Dish called from an unknown location in 1971, adding to the mystery, though his identity was never confirmed, and this was likely a hoax. Is Carl there? No, wait, I'm Carl. Shit, fuck. The Australian astrophysicist Rodney Marks died in the year 2000 from what was later determined to be a methanol poisoning during the winter at the Amundsen Scott South Pole Station. New Zealand police ruled out suicide, finding it unlikely he poisoned himself accidentally, but were unable to determine the source or cause of the poisoning. The circumstances of his death remain unclear, and it has been referred to as the first potential murder at the South Pole. To this day, it remains unsolved due to various territorial pissings in conjunction with jurisdictional issues. I will say, however, if I remember correctly, I think his fiance worked at the same center as him. And generally in these, if you watch enough true crime, the first person the police always go to is the significant other. But I may be, don't take me at my word on that. I don't have the particulars in front of me. Dennis Tink Bell, 25-year-old British researcher who vanished on a glacier at Admiralty Bay on July 26, 1959, after falling into a crevasse. His body was never recovered at the time due to the difficulty of access. His remains, along with personal items, were finally discovered in 2025 when a receding glacier exposed the crevasse. Thanks, global warming. 3 British scientists, John Call, Ambrose Morgan, and Kevin Occult, disappeared in August 1982 near Peterman Island, about 6 miles from their research base. Officials from the British Antarctic Survey believe they likely fell through thin sea ice during a sudden temperature drop and subsequent refreeze. Their bodies have never been found. Every anomaly invites speculation. Shadows feed imagination, and imagination feeds the shadows. We need explanations. We crave them. We can't think straight without them. Ironically, this is where we take the next steps into the heavily speculative, theoretical, really weird shit. We're about to dive right into the super woo. High and deep. High strangeness, deep weirdness. Let me tell you fine folks about the concept of vile vortices. Geomagnetic anomalies, reality bending areas, thin places, as a character in a Stephen King novel and or movie might call them. Don't go over that road there. That's a thin place over there. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Vile vortex is a term for a geographical area like the Bermuda Triangle that is allegedly the site of mysterious disappearances of ships and aircraft. While the term is not a standard scientific one, it refers to places where unexplained phenomena and strange occurrences are said to be commonplace, often associated with paranormal, magnetic, or gravitational anomalies. There are specific locations around the world. It's not a single entity, but the Bermuda Triangle is the most famous example, but others include the Marysburg Vortex in Lake Ontario, the Michigan Triangle in Lake Michigan, as well as many, many others. The Alaska Triangle, Bridgewater Triangle, Nevada Triangle, etc. They're associated with unexplained disappearances and strange events, particularly involving ships and planes. Some theories suggest these areas are linked to electronic, magnetic, or gravitational anomalies. The term was popularized by author and cryptozoologist Ivan Sanderson, who in 1972 identified a dozen such areas that he dubbed vile vortices. Now, add to this that Antarctica can be symbolically, metaphorically, spiritually, legendarily, folklorically considered as a planetary chakra, the root chakra, more popularly known as an axis mundi. Axis mundi is a concept from various cultures and religions for a central point or axis that connects the heavens, the earth, and the underworld. Also known as the world axis. It can be a symbolic or physical location that serves as a link between the divine and mundane realms and represents the center of the world, the center of all existence for that matter. Examples include sacred trees like Yggdrasil from Norse mythology, Mount Olympus, Mount Meru, or structures like temples and cathedrals, which ties into sacred geometry, sacred architecture, etc. The axis mundi is often represented as a line or pillar that connects the upper and lower realms of existence. It functions as the quote-unquote navel of the world, or omphalos of Greek myth, a place of origin and stability around which the universe revolves. The tree of life, or the aforementioned Yggdrasil, the world tree, are common representations of a tree motif, with its roots in the underworld, a trunk on the earth, and branches in the heavens. And there are sacred mountains, such as Mount Fuji, Mount Olympus, Mount Kailash, which is super fucking weird. If you guys aren't familiar with Mount Kailash, look into it. People go up the mountain, spend a week there, they come down, they've aged a month. They've actually done time experiments, and time has been recorded as passing differently there. It's very strange. A lot of weird stuff going on with Mount Kailash. But also, Mount Fuji, as I mentioned before, Mount Olympus, Mount Kailash, Mount Meru, Kunlun in China, where the 8 immortals of Taoism live. Mount Shasta. It's a reason that holy men and monks and religious aesthetes, whatever you want to call them, move up into the mountains, be closer to the heavens. There's also a metaphorical meaning. The concept can also refer to the central idea or focal point around which a belief system pivots, or a fixed point where divine power enters the world. Long before men set foot upon the Antarctic continent, its existence was assumed. Ancient Greek geographers, working from the principle of balance, reasoned that there must be a counterweight to the known lands of the north. These lands in the north were known as Hyperborea. The lands to the south were called Terra Australis Incognita, the unknown southern land. For nearly 2 millennia, it was not a place, but a concept, a metaphysical mirror to civilization, embodying the idea that perfection requires its inverse. Ideological symmetry was a must-have in ancient times, and in many ways, it still very much exists. We often can't help ourselves to limit our thinking in binary terms. When medieval mystics wrote of the axis mundi, they were not talking about ice and rock. They were speaking of a vertical mystery, a place where the material world opens upward into spirit. The Hindu Meru, the Norse Yggdrasil, the Zoroastrian Hara Barazaiti, and even the Christian Mount Zion, all describe this same polar center. In the words of traditionalist scholar René Guénon, quote, "The pole is the seat of immortality," unquote. It is the still point about which all manifestation revolves. By the 19th century, This spiritual geography began to fuse with literal maps. The Piri-Reis map, I believe that's how you say it, is probably the most popular example. But the age of exploration birthed an age of projection, of explorers chasing Eden beneath the aurora. When the first expeditions failed to find an earthly paradise, the myth retreated underground. Literally, into the theories of Hollow Earth, Agartha, Shambhala, and, once again, Hyperborea. For occultists, the poles became not boundaries, but doorways. In many occult systems, the Earth is not a dead sphere of rock and ice, but a living organism. Gaia. It's Gaia. Its magnetic currents functioning much like the nervous system of a vast planetary body. Ancient geomancers and practitioners of Feng Shui traced these flows as ley lines. The Chinese called them dragon's veins, and modern mystics imagine them as a planetary mirror of the human subtle body, a cosmic microcosm where chakras correspond to vortices of telluric power. Now, for those unfamiliar, just real quick, telluric currents are natural electric currents that flow on and beneath the Earth's surface, parallel to its surface. They are induced by a variety of natural causes, such as changes in the Earth's magnetic field, resulting from solar-wind interactions or the movement of charged masses in the atmosphere and ionosphere. These low-frequency currents are used by geophysicists to study subsurface structures, including faults, rock formations, and groundwater resources. At the edges of this grid are the so-called vile vortices, 12 zones of magnetic instability mapped by researcher Ivan T. Sanderson in the 1970s. These include the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Triangle near Japan, in the East Asian Sea, and directly opposite on the globe, the South Polar Vortex, Antarctica. Where the Bermuda Triangle is chaos born of water and storm, the Antarctic Vortex is chaos frozen in time. And ice. It's also frozen in ice. The root chakra of the planet, the seat of latent power, survival instinct, and primordial energy. In the human body, the root chakra lies coiled with Kundalini, the fiery serpent of creative and destructive force. In planetary terms, that same archetypal serpent may be sleeping beneath the ice, the Leviathan of chaos, the dragon of beginnings, or the serpent fire of the earth awaiting a reawakening. Across mythic traditions, from the Norse Jormungandr encircling the world, to the Sumerian Tiamat, to the biblical Leviathan, the serpent embodies the raw pre-cosmic energy that predates order itself. Even the Bible says, in the beginning, there's nothing but dark, chaotic, primordial void. Hence, according to the logic of the Bible, making this a pre-existing power on par with God. The mother of us all, the primordial chaos. If Earth's magnetic lattice is its nervous system, then the Antarctic pole becomes the tail of that coiled cosmic dragon, the origin point of power compressed in absolute cold, where movement and vibration cease, yet potential remains infinite. Some esoteric cartographers propose that the world's sacred sites, pyramids, stone circles, and megalithic complexes, ritual landscapes, if you will, are aligned along the global chakra network, each positioned at nodal points of geomagnetic convergence, often hovering around the 33rd parallel, or tracing invisible arcs of force that spiral towards the poles. In this view, Antarctica is not the end of the world, but its root, the source, the place where the cosmic current enters matter, the planetary Muladhara, anchoring all higher centers. Thus, the polar ice becomes both axis mundi and anti-axis, the point where heaven and underworld meet in stillness. Within its frozen silence might sleep a presence, whether symbolic, psychic, or primordial biological presence. Bloop! Our ancestors mythologized as gods and monsters. The primordial chaos leviathan may not be a beast at all, but an awareness, an eldritch sentience, a morphic field, a vast subconscious, woven into the geomagnetic field itself. If consciousness is an emergent property of energy in motion, then perhaps beneath Antarctica lies consciousness in suspension, the dreaming dragon, an alien mind in hibernation, the planetary subconscious, frozen at the root of the world. A slumbering energetic nexus that affects natural phenomena and perception. Fundaglui mugloa nafa, Cthulhu alaya, wigaha naga fatagan. Which translates to, in his house at Arlaya, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons, even death may die. Across the fringe sciences of the 20th century runs a peculiar correlation that sightings of cryptids, UFOs, and spectral entities or apparitions cluster along geomagnetic fault lines and magnetic anomalies. Researchers such as Dr. Michael Persinger of God Helmet fame and of Laurentian University, and Paul Devereaux of the Dragon Project observed fluctuations in Earth's magnetic field, especially near tectonic strain zones, which can release bursts of electromagnetic energy capable of producing luminous, quote-unquote, Earth lights, plasma displays, auditory distortions, and powerful alterations in human perception. Persinger's tectonic strain theory held that these geomagnetic discharges could literally project imagery into consciousness or even momentarily distort localized space-time. Devereaux found similar correlations in areas of hauntings and UFO activity, suggesting that the phenomena might share a geophysical trigger rather than a purely psychological one. Add to this that the entire continent of Antarctica is essentially a subwoofer blasting out infrasound to the entire planet, resonating a broadcast into the global mind. Infrasound. Psychosonic projection. When applied to cryptids, the theory becomes stranger still. Reports of Bigfoot, Mothman, and aquatic monsters repeatedly occur near fault lines, volcanic belts, and magnetic deviation zones, precisely where geomagnetic flux is at its highest. To some, these currents act as an energetic substrate, a natural carrier wave that allows interdimensional or plasma-based entities to manifest. In older esoteric language, they're the ley lines or dragon lines, arteries of telluric power whose intersections, these so-called vile vortices, mapped by Ivan Sanderson, form planetary chakras. Earth itself becomes a living organism threaded with invisible meridians of electricity and consciousness. Within this energetic ecology, cryptids are not simply animals, but temporary condensations or concentrations of geomagnetic consciousness, emergent from the flux where energy, matter, and mind overlap. Elementals, genius loci. And for those who are of the mind, chakras, new age bullshit, actually, chakras and the nervous system in general have been mapped out by ancient medicines from predating Christianity. This is old medicine we're talking about. And it's maintained its shelf life because there's something to it. It works. Traditional Chinese medicine wouldn't be traditional if none of that shit did anything. So, just keep that in mind. And keep in mind it sometimes uses semen and menstruation. If this principle extends to the poles, then Antarctica home to the planet's magnetic anchor, is the ultimate convergence point. Its constant geomagnetic turbulence, frozen mineral veins, and atmosphere of crystalline ionization could render it the most potent portal continent on Earth. A realm where geomagnetic weather shapes perception, where plasma and psyche intertwine. And as far as plasma consciousness goes, scientists have found that at the quantum level within our own brains, neurotubules, micro nanotubules, tubular, generate and blast bursts of plasma energy along the cerebral highways by the trillions within our brain. Antarctica itself, as a portal continent, is a realm where geomagnetic weather shapes perception, where plasma and psyche intertwine, and where the ice itself may dream in magnetic patterns, recording every surge and fluctuation like a global Akashic tape. Here, the veil is not thin by chance, it's woven from magnetism itself. Once again, home of elementals, of genius loci from Antarctica, frozen embodiments of the unconscious mind, the world mind, the zeitgeist, the noosphere, whatever you want to call it. Could you imagine what the genius loci of a place like Antarctica would or could be? What it would look like? What it would act like? Desolate frozen wastelands, icy cold emptiness. The land of wind and ghosts, limbo, purgatory. Home of Ithaqua, the walker in the wind, better known as the Wendigo, in keeping with the Lovecraftian entity theme. The elemental embodiment of the Antarctic egregore, the primordial, pre-existing consciousness of the place itself meets our own projections. Purely speculative, I will admit, but nonetheless, a strange attractor and an immense transmitter. But the potential influence on cryptids and elemental forces, I think this all mixes together, encapsulates it. So let's look at some of the proposed, alleged cryptids that hang around this area. Probably the most popular, well-known one, although based in, or let me say this, although largely originating from online forums such as, I think it's 8chan is the one in Japan. The Ningen follows along with this ongoing Leviathan-esque archetype of immense monstrosities. Ningen means human. It can refer to two distinct things: the Japanese word for human being, or the mythical creature from Japanese folklore / fake lore. The mythical Ningen is a gigantic, humanoid, whale-like cryptid said to live in the oceans, and sometimes described as pale, like white, like snow and ice. An intense, immense form of crypsis. An animal has innate camouflaging abilities, beyond camouflage even. The octopus comes to mind once again, if I can harken back to my Cthulhu-phology episode. But it's a terrestrial creature with a large head and humanoid legs. In modern Japanese folklore, the Ningen is a mysterious, gigantic aquatic creature that resembles a whale, but has a distinct humanoid face. Descriptions vary, but it is often said to be between 20 to 30 meters, 65 to 100 feet long. It can have large arms and hands. Some versions describe it as a terrestrial creature with pale blue skin, a large head, and humanoid legs wandering Antarctica. Unless you think that this is a whole cloth creation of the internet age, the Ningen very much harkens back to a much older creature known as a yokai in Japan. One in particular known as the Umibozu, which translates to sea monk. And this is essentially an immense jet black humanoid shape, so huge that they can stand up in the middle of the ocean and still tower over ships. According to yokai.com, quote, perhaps no other aquatic yokai is as mysterious as the giant umibozu. Their true form is unknown. Umibozu are only ever seen from the shoulders up. They appear to be roughly humanoid in shape, with inky black skin and a pair of large, round eyes. Eyewitnesses report a great range in size, from slightly larger than a ship to a size so unimaginable that only the creature's bulbous face is visible above the water. Its head is smooth and round like a venerable monk's, and its body is nude and as black as a shadow. Wasabi. Now, you add in the element of crypsis, camouflage to one's surroundings in nature, and I think you got yourselves a ning in there, buddy. Oh yeah, that's what that is there. Another prominent cryptid that comes up with relation to Antarctica are ice worms, titanic serpentine cryptids. The ice worms, also known as genus Mesenchytris. I'm gonna fuck this up. Okay, ice worms. I'm gonna butcher this. Genus Mesenchytris. Mesenchytris. Genus Mesenchytris. I think that's as close as I'm going to get. They are real. Scientifically recognized annelids that live exclusively within glacial ice, primarily in the coastal glaciers of Alaska, British Columbia, Washington State, and parts of Oregon. They are tiny, blackish worms, usually 1 to 2 centimeters long, that survive at temperatures just below freezing. Unlike most life forms, they die if exposed to warmth above 5 degrees Celsius. Their cellular chemistry is especially adapted to cold. Enzymes function at near zero temperatures, and they produce antifreeze proteins that keep their bodily fluids from crystallizing. There's actually quite a few animals that produce their own antifreeze. Very strange. Wonders of nature. During brief summer thaws, they emerge to the glacier surface at dusk or dawn, feeding on algae and pollen trapped in the snow. To science, they are a marvel of cryobiology, living proof that complex life can thrive in frozen conditions once thought sterile. To folklore and speculative researchers, however, the ice worm becomes an emblem of deeper mysteries, a symbol of biological persistence within the supposedly lifeless abyss of Antarctica and other polar zones. Some fringe writers expand the term to encompass larger hypothetical species, serpentine glacier worms or white dragons, reported in Arctic and Antarctic expedition lore. These alleged megafauna what? Megafauna, huh? Megafauna who? These megafaunal forms are said to move beneath the ice like translucent leviathans, generating unexplained tremors or tunnels, perhaps conflated with the Ningen sightings or Lovecraftian mythical imagery. Essentially, the ice worm straddles the line between established extremophile biology and cryptozoological myth, a literal organism that demonstrates life's defiance of entropy, and a metaphorical creature embodying the uncanny vitality of the polar underworld. These are giant versions of that. There's Lovecraftian parallels of the Wendigo / Ithaqua, as it's also been named within Lovecraftian lore, as an elemental of the cold. Other cryptids include various sea monsters, Antarctic giant spiders, which is just the stuff of nightmares as far as I'm concerned, something called the snowman owl, which is exactly what it says on the tin. It's a big-ass owl, the size and appearance of a snowman. Titano-penguins, which also sounds very nightmarish, considering some of the behaviors I've seen penguins get up to. Yetis, sea monsters, Organism 46B, which is an entirely fictional creature from urban legend and creepypasta stories, not a real organism. It is described as a large, intelligent, shape-shifting, and hostile cephalopod-like creature, supposedly discovered in Antarctica's subglacial Lake Vostok by Russian explorers. The stories often feature a paralyzing prey with venom or telepathic control over its victims. However, if you've listened to my Cthulhu-phology episode, you know that cephalopods are the cutting edge of evolutionary technology, able to write and edit their own RNA, which is just in itself mind-boggling. It's got a built-in CRISPR, for fuck's sake. Veggies on the top or bottom, wherever. If there's any alien, and 33 scientists agree, 30 Helens agree, if any animal on this planet is of otherworldly origin, it is the cephalopod. Moving on. There are also stories, by the way, of time-suspended species, usually lizards or toads, animals supposedly found alive after being encased in solid rock, coal, or wood for a long period of time. Accounts usually involve frogs and toads, though no physical evidence exists of such occurrences. Overall, however, this involves theories of ancient aliens. Perhaps most germane to this overall thesis, Tito, is H.P. Lovecraft's 1931 novella, At the Mountains of Madness. The Antarctic continent becomes the stage for one of literature's most haunting origin myths. The story follows a Miskatonic University expedition that uncovers the remains of the Elder Things, barrel-shaped, star-headed beings who descended from space long before the rise of humanity. These old ones are portrayed as both biological and technological pioneers. They terraformed the Earth, engineered its first organisms, and built immense cities of cyclopean stone beneath the polar ice. Through murals and fossil remains, the scientists pieced together that the Elder Things created a slave species, the Shoggoths, amorphous proto-biomechanical entities capable of reshaping their bodies. Essentially, inky black giant amoebas filled with various eyes and gnashing teeth, mouths all over their bodies. Eventually, these Shoggoth entities overthrow their creators when the climate turned hostile. When these explorers descend into the black tunnels of the Elder Things' ruined metropolis, they realize that some of the Shoggoths still live, mimicking voices and devouring men, leaving the survivors to flee with the dreadful implication that something older than life itself still stirs beneath the Antarctic crust. Although a work of fiction, At the Mountains of Madness functions as a proto-ancient aliens cosmology, written decades before Eric von Daniken or Zecharia Sitchin, popularizing the idea of extraterrestrial gods, quote-unquote, seeding humanity. Lovecraft's Elder Things are the architects of evolution, scientists of the cosmos who left their mark on every species, prefiguring modern notions of alien bioengineering, directed panspermia, and the notion of Antarctica as a planetary archive of forbidden history. The novella's motifs, frozen ruins beneath the ice, pre-human civilizations, warring cosmic races, and rebellious artificial life, have all become blueprints for today's conspiracy occulture. Cold War Nazi base legends, Operation High Jump theories, the New Age visions of Hyperborean or Vril-powered civilizations all borrow from its imagery, transforming Lovecraft's alien ruins into a real-world mythos of hidden technology and ancestral gods entombed in the polar dark. In contemporary esoteric circles, the Shoggoths are sometimes reinterpreted as metaphors for AI or self-replicating nanotech or biotechnology, while the Antarctic ice, preserving the memories of lost aeons, echoes occult ideas of the Akashic records. Lovecraft's Antarctica thus remains the mythic template for all later frozen apocalypse conspiracies, a timeless symbol of the unthinkable civilizations sleeping beneath our feet. However, Lovecraft's Antarctica didn't stay confined to fiction. It infected modern myth. In the decades following At the Mountains of Madness, polar exploration, Cold War secrecy, and esoteric speculation began to blur into one continuous legend. By the 1950s, with Operation High Jump and later Operation Deep Freeze, rumors spread that the U.S. and Nazi Germany had both discovered ancient alien ruins or quote-unquote hidden civilizations beneath the ice, echoing the elder things, buried cities. Fringe, shitty researchers, and they're not shitty in their research abilities. These people that I'm about to mention are shitty in their... They're just Nazis. They're shitty Nazis, really. But they're one of the largest perpetrators, or perpetuators, I guess would be the word, of some of this mythology, which is not all that outrageous considering Lovecraft's outlook on race. But I don't know. It's as I often say on the show, consider the source. You know, like, you can send all the FOIA requests into the government you want, but it's the government sending you the papers at the end. So, but even then, you can still get answers. Because you could say, this is what they want me to know. This is the story they want to tell. You can dissect that and reverse engineer certain truths from that. So these particular shitty Nazis, Ernst Zundel and Miguel Serrano, the first one is a Holocaust-denying fat piece of shit from Canada, I believe, or Germany by way of Canada, something like that. Miguel Serrano is the creator, or co-creator, I guess, of what's known as esoteric Nazism. Now, if you go back to my Borderland Sciences Research Foundation episodes, I talk a bit about how modern ufology has a deep-seated strain of Nazism running through it. And they were there at the foundation of all that Nordic Aryan space brother bullshit, which has firmly embedded itself and essentially become so entrenched in ufology today that it's pretty much considered a given. Later on, neo-Nazi Vril mystics, i.e. the Vril Society, the people who made up and sold the lie of Maria Orsic, they reframed Lovecraft's alien architects as Hyperboreans, Aryan demigods, or interdimensional beings whose quote-unquote black sun energy still pulsed below the South Pole. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not promoting the ideas by these people. But I am saying that there's something to be found in the reverse engineering of truth from these thoughts and ideas. That they've already become so entrenched in ufology is in itself quite the enigma. As well as the underlying foundational ideas of almost the entirety of ancient alien theories. This is it. This is where it comes from. H.P. Lovecraft pretty much was the first in the 20th century to, quote-unquote, popularize these ideas. Now, granted, these ideas have been around for quite a while, but this is the reframing of the concepts that people are familiar with today. There's a whole goddamn franchise revolving around these ideas. It makes me think of the blue beam wackiness that surrounds what people today call disclosure. And there's still this underlying fantasy that maybe the aliens will show up and save us. It's just another messiah from the sky come to fix our problems. Ain't gonna fucking happen, folks. Only we can save us. Only you can save you. There's something about this story, the popularity of it, and why it's achieved the mimetic, viral infectiousness that it has. I don't know. It's very strange. This is the hot new origin story of humanity, a secular religion, if you will. Essentially, that's the underlying subtext, at least. Contemporary cryptid reports of Ningen ice worms or amorphous glacial blobs glimpsed by research teams extend that same narrative into a living mythology. These creatures are often described as manifestations of something ancient, organic remnants of pre-human bioengineering, or entities warped by geomagnetic or gravitational anomalies. Ufologists and Forteans note that many of these alleged encounters occur along the Earth's geomagnetic fault lines or ley lines, areas believed to thin the veil between physical and etheric realms. Precisely the kind of threshold Lovecraft imagined in his Polar Abyss. The reoccurring theme is that the Antarctic remains a magnet for transdimensional or ultra-terrestrial phenomena, a place where myth, memory, and mutation converge. Today, Antarctica serves as both a literal and symbolic convergence point for this hybrid mythology. Now, also, I want to backtrack a little. Don't think that I'm a doom scribe here to poo-poo on all of this. I just want to make listeners aware that there is an underlying Nazi strain to this. This new invented mythology. Finding the myth themes that go all the way back to prehistory, like our earliest recorded myths, Sumerian, Mesopotamian, a whole Mesopotamians, and reframing it. It's not hard to do. But you look at Hinduism, beautiful religion. It's been around, it's the longest lasting religion. It's got staying power, baby. They're very, very candid, very specific when they mention that all their gods have come from the sky. Sumeria, Mesopotamia, they make note that the progenitors of civilization come from out of the ocean. So there is something to all this. I'm a firm believer in John Keel's ultra-terrestrial hypothesis. Jacques Vallée's passport to Magonia. Trickster gods. Something that has been with us from the beginning, that wears many different masks. And in this scientific age, perhaps, it's taken on the guise of space explorers, astronauts, people from beyond the stars. And from there, it's just one step towards, interbreeding with us. Intimate human others relations. Star people, star seeds, star children, indigo children, etc. But the intimate relations between human and non-human entities, that's a topic for another show in the not-too-distant future. Today, Antarctica serves as both a literal and symbolic convergence point for this hybridized mythology. Not a mythology of hybrids, but you know what I'm saying. This syncretic mythology. Satellite anomalies, classified research bases, the discovery of ancient microbes, and recurring rumors of quote-unquote forbidden zones reinforce its status as a cosmic liminal space. Part science, part seance. Within the architecture of modern conspiracy and occult belief, the polar continent functions as Lovecraft's Mountain of Madness reborn, a real-world mythic void, where the old gods of science fiction, secret technology, and forbidden knowledge remain entombed just beneath the ice, waiting to reawaken. Essentially, Antarctica is an ice archive, a frozen Akashic record. And so the cold keeps things preserved.
Because meat spoils slower in a fridge.
The ice remembers. Crystal myth. Try some. The Akashic records are a metaphysical concept of a universal, non-physical compendium that contains a record of every event thought, feeling, and action that has ever occurred or will occur. They are believed to be accessible through spiritual or metaphysical means, allowing individuals to gain insights into their life's purpose, past life lessons, and current challenges. And accessing the records said to be a form of personal growth, often requiring meditation or other spiritual practices, though some believe it can be done with practice and training. There's also something called the stone tape theory. Not to be confused with the stoned ape theory. Stone tape theory. Although, the stoned ape theory is probably pertinent to this rant as well. With the stone tape theory is a pseudoscientific idea that traumatic or emotionally intense events can be imprinted on inanimate objects, like stone, and then quote-unquote replayed later, creating a residual haunting. The residual haunting is a type of paranormal activity where past events, often traumatic or emotionally charged, seem to replay on a loop, like a ghostly tape recorder. Unlike a haunting with an interactive spirit, residual hauntings involve energy imprints that are not conscious and do not react to living people. Instead, they manifest as recurring sights, sounds, or sensations without any intelligence or awareness of their surroundings. But the stone tape theory suggests that what people perceive as ghosts are not conscious spirits, but rather recordings or quote-unquote loops of past events that can be experienced under certain conditions. The concept was popularized by the 1972 BBC film The Stone Tape. The Stone Tape. Add into this heady mix the fringe idea, the fringe concept of water memory, which is a controversial hypothesis that suggests water can retain a memory of substances previously dissolved in it, even after they are diluted to the point that no molecules of the original substance remain. Completely diluted. Diluted into delusion. No, I don't know. It's most famously associated with homeopathy, a field of alternative medicine, and was first proposed by French immunologist Jacques Benveniste. However, the scientific community widely considers the concept pseudoscientific as attempts to replicate the original experiments under double-blind conditions have failed to produce the same results. There are further aspects of water memory that were introduced by Masaru Emoto, like emotions, a Japanese businessman, author, and pseudoscientist who claimed that human consciousness could affect the molecular structures of water. Essentially, they did numerous experiments that are straight up taken out of Ghostbusters 2 with the slime. Vigo, let's slime on New York City making people evil. You know, that shit. They would take this water and fucking yell at it, scream at it, or tell it how much they love it and, had displayed different kinds of love to it. I don't know if they tried any, inappropriate shit with the water, but, they told they loved it or thought it was beautiful, etc. Whispered sweet nasties in its ear. And the water molecules would take various shape. Now, the ones that were screamed and yelled at with negative shit had a much more angular, just aesthetically unpleasing looks to the molecules, whereas the ones bombarded by positive energy and sweet nasties came out much more aesthetically pleasing, looking much closer to snowflakes, as a matter of fact, oddly enough. So there's this aspect to the phenomenon as well. But you add all of this together, and it boils down to a statement I made only seconds ago. Not crystal myth, although that does count. No, the phrase of the day is, the ice remembers. Now, let's talk about Nazi occultism for a second. I hate giving any of this shit the time of day, really. But at the same time, I cannot deny that it's endlessly fascinating. I don't know. It's just the way that most can't help but be fascinated by World War II in general. This particular aspect of World War II is endlessly fascinating. I just can't fucking stress it enough. And when you go really deep into it, like if you read some of the books by Joseph Farrell, really awesome researcher. Dude knows his shit. Like he's written many books on many fringe topics, but him and Jocelyn Godwin and what's the other guy's name? I think the guy I can't remember. He wrote a book called Black Sun. Actually, hold on. Let me. Shit. What is that guy's name? No, that's not him. No, it's not him either. God damn it. Where are you? It's not the Montauk Project book either. By Peter Moon. Oh, Nicholas Goodrick Clark. That's his fucking name. Jesus, I'm sorry that took so long. I'll clean this up in post. Yeah, Nicholas Goodrick Clark. Nicholas Goodrick Clark, Jocelyn Godwin, and Joseph Farrell have done some of the deepest, most extensive, highly footnoted research into Nazi occultism and mad scientists. So if you're gonna get any book about this subject, make it from one of those guys. But and Joseph Farrell, I believe he has a physics degree and a theology degree. I may have that first part wrong. I'm pretty sure he does have a theology degree, but which I think preps your mind for knowing various complicated, loosey-goosey bullshit. But no, yeah, he's written books that go into the depths of insanity of Nazi physics, non-Jewish physics, because the Nazis, of course, had some kind of problem with the Hebrews and the Shebrews. I don't know what started all that. No, I know. Unfortunately, all too well what started it. But the depth of insanity that got to the Nazis, they rejected anything Jewish, which includes Einsteinian physics. So this Nazi by the name of Kammler, I believe it is.
Hans Kammler.
He was in charge of a lot of the special projects. This guy invented an entire Nazi physics. It was one of the most insane aspects of Nazism in World War II that I'm surprised more people don't go into. But this allegedly is what led to Die Glocke, an alleged time machine or UFO, as well as all the Flugelrads I think I mentioned earlier. Nazi UFO horseshit, conspiracies, ufology, etc. Modern day myths of Nazism. And I can see how neo-Nazis, especially, would want to perpetuate this mythology because it gives them this fucking hope that, once again, Nazi UFOs are going to come out of the sky and save the day. It's the same shit, just from an even more misguided dickhead angle. But, oh man. One day I will do just an entire one-stop shop series on World War II. Well, maybe not World War II. That's a big topic. I'll probably split it up into like one of the aspects that I really want to cover is the intersection, specifically World War II, intersection of occultism and intelligence agencies. Crowley did work for British intelligence, and there are, I can't even tell you how many CIA people, not just in World War II, but from the birth of the CIA, which also had a lot of Nazis in it. Well, still does. But all these intelligence agents who who are on the outer fringes of occult and esoteric belief, or occult secret societies, quote unquote, secret society. They're not that secret, but organized ritual magic groups. And then even more strange is how many of these fucking guys, especially the CIA, like big time, like I got like a long list that I found of CIA guys, and it's usually top fucking guys too, like movers and shakers in the CIA, who got into fiction, writing fiction. CSM Spender, the cigarette smoking man from X-Files, he's a composite character of several individuals, CIA agents, and the vast majority of the fiction that they wrote was either horror or science fiction, or conspiracy spy thrillers, heavy on the occultism, mind benders, page turners, etc. But I'm way off script. Let's get back to the Nazis. In 1938 to 39, Deutsche Antarctic Expedition, commanded by Alfred Richter. Yeah. Alfred Richter remains the cornerstone of Nazi Antarctic mythology. Sorry, I had to stop and swallow some more Toy Boy. Toy boat. Though officially intended for whaling reconnaissance and territorial claims, post-war esoteric circles reframed it as a quest for hidden power, driven by the occult faction within the SS known as the Antarctic Base. According to fringe historians, Richter's team sought quote-unquote Vril energy, the all-penetrating life force described in occultist Edward Bulwer Lytton's 1871 novel. It's Lytton or Lytton? Lytton. I don't know. I've hardly ever heard anyone say his name out loud. Anywho, 1871 novel, The Coming Race. What could this have influenced? Later mythologized by Helena Blavatsky and the Thule Society. The idea evolved that the Nazis believed Vril could be harnessed through polar gateways or geomagnetic vortices beneath the Antarctic plateau, where the black sun, the mystical counterforce to the physical sun, was said to emanate. This quote-unquote sun beneath the ice symbolized a hidden cosmic engine, powering both spiritual awakenings and technological transcendence, from flying discs to mind control experiments to the aforementioned Daglacha. German's such a lovely language, isn't it? Now, I love you, German listeners. Curse me out in German. I would love to. Send me some real poetic hate mail. I would love to read it on air. You'll notice that my voice starts fucking up when I really get into the role. I start cooking, and that's when my voice fucks up. That's what I've noticed, at least. Anyways, I'm not going to be bitter about it. Fuck! After the war, these legends merged with tales of Operation High Jump in 1946, 1947, and the secretive New Swabia base. Good thing it's not the New Wabian base. That would be quite the sci-fi sitcom. The mythos claimed that surviving SS occultists fled to underground sanctuaries powered by Vril engines, continuing their quote-unquote Aryan ascension projects. Whether pure fantasy or allegory for hidden power structures, the enduring fascination lies in the suggestion that Antarctica became not a refuge for humans, but a womb for a new post-human ideology, one fusing esoteric cosmology, lost technology, and mythic rebirth beneath the ice. Following Germany's defeat, that's right, we got him.
We landed on the moon!
Fragments of Nazi mysticism reconstituted themselves in neo-Volkish and esoteric right-wing movements. Figures like Wilhelm Landig and the aforementioned Holocaust-denying piece of shit Ernst Zundel, fat man in a wheelchair. Not that there's anything wrong with being in a wheelchair, but this guy's a particularly heinous piece of shit. Anyways, They reinterpreted wartime myths as part of an ongoing, quote-unquote, polar exile. Oh, boo, the Nazis don't get free speech today. Of enlightened Aryans or, quote-unquote, Hyperboreans. Landig's Vienna Lodge claimed that a hidden order, descendants of the Thule or Vril Societies, had escaped into the polar regions to await the next cycle of world renewal. Serrano's writings, particularly El Cordon Dorado and Adolf Hitler, The Last Avatar. I don't know if he was an airbender, but he certainly liked having shits taken on his chest, I can tell you that much. He proposed that Hitler himself had transcended mortality to dwell in the hollow earth of Antarctica, radiating spiritual energy back to a decadent surface world. These narratives acted as spiritual camouflage for post-war fascist networks, blending theosophy, ufology, and tantric mysticism into an apocalyptic myth of return. The black sun became both symbol and cosmology, a kind of psychic reactor at the Earth's pole, reversing entropy through inner illumination. For the Neo-Volkish underground, the ice was not a tomb, but a chrysalis, a frozen veil covering the embryonic dawn of a new age and a new godlike humanity. Hell! I said it before and I'll say it again. America never had more international goodwill than when we were killing Nazis. I say we bring it back. We need the Nazis' votes. By the 1950s, Antarctic rumor fused with Cold War paranoia. Pretty much everything, at some point or another, fused with Cold War paranoia in these days. The isolated continent became a screen onto which fears of secret laboratories, hidden refuges, and forbidden technologies were projected. Operation High Jump's abrupt termination, Admiral Byrd's strange post-expedition interviews about flying craft that could travel pole to pole, quote, unquote. Let me say that again. This is a direct quote. Flying craft that could travel pole to pole. And classified logistics around the later Operation Deep Freeze all fueled speculation that the U.S. and USSR had discovered something beneath the ice they couldn't fully control. And just real quick aside, for those unfamiliar, I'm sure most people are familiar with the Admiral Byrd story. For those unfamiliar with Operation Deep Freeze, this is the code name for a series of U.S. missions to Antarctica that began in 1955 to establish permanent research stations and provide logistical support for scientific efforts. It's pretty much us doing exactly what the myths said the Nazis did. It is an ongoing, multi-service military operation that now provides logistical and transportation support for the U.S. Antarctic program, which is led by the National Science Foundation. The mission's early phases focused on construction and setting up bases like McMurdo Station, while the modern operation handles resupply and support during the austral summer. I can go into it a little bit more, but I think that pretty much captures the gist of everything you need to know. So, alternative researchers tied this to alleged Alternative 3 programs. Now, this might be another one that I might have to just real quick kind of school y'all up if y'all ain't ever heard of it. Alternative 3 is a 1977 British television mockumentary concerning government conspiracies, specifically hidden bases on the moon or Mars, etc., for the global elites to retreat to once planet Earth has been devastated and fucked into a pile of nuclear ash that's on fire. So that's essentially Alternative 3. And people thought it was real for a while. It had a bit of a Blair Witch effect, to say the least. So it survived within conspiracy lore. But yes, elite evacuation plans to off-world colonies or underground biospheres. Antarctica was cast as one such sanctuary, a climate-proof refugee for the technocratic elite, housing black projects, particle accelerators, or experiments in quote-unquote zero-point energy and propulsion. It's in this narrative, cryogenic vaults, genetic archives, and psychotronic laboratories exist below the research stations, forming a secret Arcadian arc for humanity's next phase. Which is not entirely kooky dooky. There's all kinds of continuity of government bunkers hidden all up through the Rocky Mountains and the Adirondacks, I believe, as well. You got Elon and Bezos and all those guys getting their space arcs ready for when they finally fuck this place up beyond repair. There's the infamous post-apocalyptic seed vault, Svalbard. Also, I believe, in the Arctic. I know it's someplace cold. I think it's actually like in Norway or something. Closer to the North Pole.
It's Svalbard.
But, I don't know. See, I can get behind that. That's fine. Yes. Have a seed bank library. By all means. But, as far as an arc for the shittiest of people to continue onward into the future, not so much. So, whether literal or symbolic, the Antarctic Base became a metaphor for the cold heart of hidden science, where power, secrecy, and transcendence freeze together into one crystalline mythology. Crystal myth. Esoteric geography holds that the Earth itself possesses chakras, or energy nodes, and that Antarctica, at the planet's south pole, is the Muladhara, the root center of global energy. Occult cosmologists like Dion Fortune and later planetary magicians, for lack of a better word, proposed that ritual alignments, temple constructions, or mass meditations could tune these sites to celestial harmonics. The South Pole thus became the ultimate ritual anchor, the fixed axis from which the currents of planetary consciousness emanate. The black sun of esoteric alchemy mirrors this symbolism. And this is another one of those occult symbols, esoteric symbols, that shows up independently in different cultures or aspects of culture. Obviously, there's the whole Nazi shit. But it shows up in alchemy, it shows up in, I believe it's Aztec myth, etc. So this is one of those things that just, it must be archetypal and deep, for lack of a better explanation. The hidden albedo, or negretto phase in alchemy, where the prima materia, or base matter, gross matter, if you will, is purified in darkness before rebirth as gold. And this is not just chemistry, but spiritual thermodynamics. Consciousness descending into the void to be reconstituted as pure light. The dark night of the soul. The siege of Chapel Perilous. In modern occult practice, Antarctica is occasionally invoked as the crown below, the inverse pole of heaven, a place where matter and spirit converge into stillness, an alchemical mirror to the absolute zero state in physics. Or reverse Eden, even, if you will. During the same post-war decades, fringe scientists attempted to quantify the metaphysical. Wilhelm Reich's orgone energy, that's right, I told you we were getting super woo on this one. Orgone energy, a cosmic life force said to pulse through all matter, was investigated through his orgone accumulator and quote-unquote cloudbuster devices. Reich described orgone's inverse, or byproduct, he called melanor, or sometimes DOR, for deadly orgone radiation, as the stagnant residue of life force, the shit of existential energy, accumulating in polluted or spiritually decayed environments. It's what causes deserts, according to him. Like, the reason deserts exist, these desolate, lifeless voids of massive amounts of geographic landscape, can be squarely placed on the shoulders of melanor, aka deadly orgone radiation. Later reinterpretations suggested Antarctica as a realm of extreme stillness and magnetic concentration, which could function as a planetary condenser for both orgone and melanor, a natural psychic battery storing millennia of emotional and biological imprint. Planetary epigenetic trauma. Parallel theories of aether physics, which all of this is essentially just another way of saying chi, life force, or the force from Star Wars. It's another one of those reoccurring myths throughout various cultures that came up independently, just a deep archetypal idea that's been with all of us for very long. But parallel theories of aether physics propose that the vacuum of space, or the frozen air itself, contains the blueprint of consciousness, accessible through resonant frequency manipulation. So in this fringe cosmology, cryogenic matter, ice crystals, and certain geometric forms act as orgone mirrors, capturing and replaying vibrational memory. Thus the idea that the ice remembers, the crystal myth, merges speculative biology, atmospheric electromagnetism, and esoteric energy theories into a unified myth of psychophysical recording. Throughout the late 20th century, numerous reports and rumors emerged of a military occult complex, collaborations in parapsychology, remote viewing, and quote-unquote consciousness modulation. Within the Antarctic mythos, these threads coalesce into tales of experiments where ritual and physics overlap, where magnetic field manipulation, sound resonance, and meditation are used in tandem to open portals or induce altered states. Some versions speak of cold initiation rites conducted within underground installations where sensory deprivation, temperature extremes, and focused intent are employed to trigger contact with non-human intelligences. In this sense, Antarctica becomes the laboratory of the absolute. Absolute zero. Absolute zero is the total absence of kinetic energy, movement, vibration, life, where scientists and mystics converge at the limits of perception. Whether as metaphor or mythic archetype, it stands for humanity's most dangerous curiosity, the drive to pierce the veil separating consciousness from the cosmos. The frozen continent, in this view, is both shrine and experiment, a test chamber for the human soul, echoing the same cold hum as the machines that measure it. That's right. Opposites attract. Paula Abdul and a cartoon cat. In the end, all these threads, Vril and Black Sun, Orgone and Melanor, hollow cities and frozen rites, link into an inextricable single revelation. Antarctica is less a place than a state of mind, man. Once again, it is a giant, vast, frozen Rorschach, a mirror of the human will to dominate both matter and meaning. Beneath all that ice lies not merely an archive of history, but the frozen echo of every forbidden experiment in the union of science and spirit. The same impulse that drove the alchemists to purify, quote unquote, base metals, collect their urine in jars, and put them over Bunsen burners for extended periods at a time. Alchemy smelt like piss. It's the same ideas that inspired Reich to bottle the sky and compelled the Ahnenerbe to chase the aurora. It all still hums beneath the polar crust like a cosmic generator waiting for the right frequency to awaken it. Perhaps the quote-unquote black sun was never a literal big dark orb thing, but a metaphor for the impossible fusion, the light that shines only through total darkness. Can't see stars without darkness. Roses don't grow without shit.
Fish don't fry in the kitchen. Beans don't burn on the grill.
Consciousness reflected back from the edge of entropy. Every myth of hidden bases, psychic portals, and cryogenic archives, etc., might be the subconscious rehearsal of an ancient equation that knowledge without humility plus hubris, must never forget hubris, freezes and solidifies as madness. Madness in the pursuit of godhood ends in the ice. Just ask the Nazis who went marching into Russia. Kind of like that, motherfuckers. So when we whisper that the ice remembers, maybe we mean that it remembers us, our obsessions, our experiments, our desire to transcend the world by any means necessary. And if one day the ice should melt completely, it's probably in too far from now, the secrets it will release might not be a monster or a machine, but some reflection of the thing we've been chasing all along, the cold, unblinking face of our own ambitions for divinity. Across the frozen expanse, some whisper of entities older than memory, the hollow white gods, whose forms may be literal or archetypal. We have to wait and see, I guess. But they're woven into the icy landscape itself. Scholars of myth and conspiracy alike draw parallels between these beings and the Jotun of Norse cosmology. Colossal ice giants, shadows, have danced across the imaginations of Nazis and neo-Volkish occultists. Could the esoteric obsession with Antarctica have been a search not merely for territory, but for communion with these primordial beings, whose very presence bends time, perception, and ambition? Some propose that the so-called black sun beneath the ice is an emblem of their power, a metaphysical focal point. I would call it a fecal point. What a way with words I have sometimes. It's where ritual, energy, and the frozen abyss intersect. This is a land of cults, secret societies, and fringe experiments, all converging in the shadow of the unknown, from occult orders to pseudoscientific psychotronics. The ice has been a magnet for those seeking to manipulate consciousness itself. Allegedly, clandestine stations, hidden research outposts, and cryptic experiments hint at a continuity of intention to probe not just the Antarctic environment, but the laws of reality, perception, and human potential. The lines between ritual and science blur. 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 I'm trying to sound as fat as possible when I say my BL words. Blur. Blur. Orgone accumulators hum in alignment with planetary energies. Melanor residue collects. It's a byproduct of unseen laboratories, and ceremonial observances resonate along the ley lines spanning continents and oceans. Here, cryptids and elementals, from the elusive Ningen to the hypothetical ice worms and imaginary Lovecraftian horrors, coexist within the occult black sun symbolism and the theorized planetary chakra grid. The continent itself becomes a canvas for humanity's archetypal fears and obsessions, a stage upon which myth, ecology, and secret sciences, secret super sciences, no less, all converge. Antarctica is cast as the anti-Axis Mundi, a mirror of our Axis Mundi on Earth. Its desolation and extremity serve both as a testing ground and a reflection of humanity's hubris. Hubris. If there was one thing that pissed off the gods more than anything else back in the day, it was hubris. Ultimately, it's the collision of human ambition and the unknown. Ooh, that was a weird noise that came out of me. Ultimately, it's the collision of human ambition and the unknowable that defines this frozen world. Explorers, scientists, soldiers, and Imagineers, to borrow a term from Disney, all pressing against the boundaries of comprehension, brushing against forces that may never be fully articulated or understood. Definitely won't be understood by the types of people who are trying to forcefully pierce the veil. Every expedition, every rumor of hidden cities or life suspended in ice speaks to a psychic resonance between the observer and the land. A reminder that some ambitions, however noble, however sinister, cannot escape the profound consequences of touching the incomprehensible. Antarctica, in this context, is not just merely a geographic location. It's a mythical nexus, an icebound theater of the absurd, where history, legend, and possibility intersect in a cold, silent crucible. In the cosmology of conspiracy, secrecy itself becomes an active force. Not merely a condition, but a technology of power. I'm going to say that again because this is leading up to one of the earth-shaking revelations I had while, while sifting through all of this quite possibly mind-altering nonsense. There's something to it. I don't discount all of it. But it's elusive. It's ephemeral. It's not something you can quantify. It's beyond reason and logic. Hidden knowledge is not inert. It shapes the field around it, bending probabilities like gravity. Some theorists have likened this to the quantum observer effect, in which the act of perception collapses infinite possibility into a single outcome. In the same way, the inverse is also true. Unobserved truths, buried, redacted, sealed under ice or oath, retain their potency precisely because they remain unseen. The cryptocracy, the deep state, whatever you want to call it, deep state is just as valid. I just don't fucking like it because of the because of the contextual baggage that comes with the phrase. The cryptocracy, the elites, the conspiracy, whatever you want to call it, understand this principle instinctively. The longer a secret remains unmeasured, the greater its strategic potential. A concealed reality is a Schrodinger's cat of geopolitics, alive, dead, or divine, depending on who dares to open the box. To put this in more straightforward, simplistic terms, and extending the Schrodinger's cat metaphor, the reason secrets are so powerful, the secret of secrets, if you will, in this particular context, is that to keep something secret makes for infinite possibilities behind it. If we don't know what it is, it can be anything. In this framework, unobserved phenomena exist as latent potential, a reservoir of possibility awaiting revelation. The Antarctic becomes the perfect petri dish for such conditions. Remote, uninhabited, inaccessible, isolated. It preserves the quantum indeterminacy of its mysteries. Game theorists within the deep state, and I'm sure there are plenty, if such circles truly exist, might regard secrecy as a form of psychological game theory, where the concealment of data itself alters the moves of nations, cults, and ideologies. The fewer eyes upon the continent, the more abstract its power becomes. A mythical variable in a geopolitical equation that spans generations. Honest to goodness, 4D fucking chess. The ice itself, according to some esotericists, may be more than inert matter. It may be a form of consciousness or memory, a crystalline archive of vibrational history. Crystal myth. Just as stone tape theory suggests that buildings can record trauma and water memory hints at the retention of energetic imprints, so too might Antarctic ice function as a colossal psychic storage medium. Every aurora, every dying explorer's breath, every whispered experiment could be preserved in suspended animation. To stare into the glacial abyss is to confront a consciousness stretched thin across aeons, a slow intelligence of cold and pressure, aware in ways beyond our measure. And beneath that, deeper still, lies the physics of the frozen void. Absolute zero. The cessation of vibration. The absence of all life is both a scientific and occult frontier. The end of motion. The stillness before creation. Entropy here takes on the aspect of a god, an infinite silence that devours meaning and form. some fringe theorists of the so-called secret space programs interpret Antarctica as not merely an outer frontier, but an inner space gateway, a stargate, if you will, a psychic analog to the cosmic abyss, where temperature and consciousness approach the same limit. To reach the bottom of the world is, in this metaphor, to reach the bottom of existence itself. That's where that crackerjack prize is hiding. Thus, the continent emerges as vault, laboratory, and cosmic mirror all at once. And to many of these people, I'm sure, a possible ark of some kind. A stargate. Stargate of the mind, man. Reflecting humanity's yearning for transcendence and its terror of the void. The structures rumored to exist beneath the ice. Ancient domes, alien machinery, infernal geometries of a dead civilization may never be proven, but they function symbolically as emblems of this deeper mystery. Antarctica is the point where all vectors of secrecy, science, and spirituality converge. It is both a mirror and a membrane to be pierced, a veil to be pierced, a place where reality itself seems to wait unobserved for the next daring consciousness to open the box. Antarctica exists not merely as a physical place, but as a liminal zone, a threshold where the boundaries of reality are thin. Here, UFO sightings pierce the veil of our sky, cryptids slither or glide through impossibly cold waters, occult symbols are whispered of. In post-war journals, and explorers vanish without a trace, all leaving merely fragments for the imagination to reconstruct. The continent is a canvas for the mind. Blank sheets of paper as maps to Wonderland. A place where human perception meets its limits, and every anomaly becomes a mirror for the strange and the unknown. Some suggest it is our own imagination that transforms Antarctica into a quote-unquote thin place. Don't go on that road now. A site where time dilates, causality blurs, and consciousness resonates with the alien or the archetypal. Here there are no certainties, only anomalies. The possibility of impossibilities. Traces of what might have been, what could exist, and what waits silently beneath layers of ancient ice. The frozen landscape acts as a repository, preserving not only the material evidence of the continent's harsh reality, but also echoes of possibility, the frozen fragments that feed the imagination. The abyss beckons. The ice remembers. Crystal myth. As if the ice itself is calling to those willing to perceive its secrets. The ice remembers, carrying in its crystalline memory the whispers of explorers, the hum of vanished experiments, the shimmer of entities glimpsed in nanoseconds, and the silent geometry of forces beyond comprehension. In this way, Antarctica becomes both a mirror and a gateway, a place where the human mind confronts the unknown, and where every shadow, crack, and frozen surface resonates with the vastness of potential, the weight of history, and the pulse of the unknown. Sorry, I got really fucking metaphysical at the end there, but that's the thing that jumped out at me the most in researching this place and all the various conspiracy theories and occult lore surrounding the polar myth, the reverse Eden, the Hyperborea of the South, the dirty South. That, it's just this inverse of quantum observer effect. The secret of secrets. Yeah. Man, that's going to be it for the Antarctica episode. There's always more. There's tons of stuff I left out on purpose that involves flat Earth, ice wall, into the whatever. I don't know. I think a lot of conspiracy theories are clown ops, plants to delegitimize everything else, that actually has some substance to it. We know MK Ultra is real. We know the Stargate remote viewing programs are real. And they're clouded in conspiracy and speculation. And then along comes something like Flat Earth, or I don't know. If you don't want to get inoculated for diseases, I implore you that you stick to your guns. Okay? But don't force that shit on your kids. All right? Let them do the research and make their own conclusions. You know, that's your right, too. That's fine. You know? I'm not saying your beliefs are retarded. I mean, I am kind of saying that. But that's your goddamn choice. That's your free will. That's your journey, man. Either way, you're still in the Matrix. So, what's it matter? Give me all the inoculations. Give me all the 5G. If you can die in the simulation, then, I don't know, I'd say the stakes are pretty high. So, simulation or no, does it really matter? Ride, Captain, ride on your mystery ship and be amazed at the things that happen on your trip, said the wise man on the Anchorman soundtrack. I don't know the name of the song, but I think it's Ride, Captain, Ride. That's where you find the truth. It's like Gummo, man. It's got the secrets of the universe in it. No, but for real, wherever you find the secrets of the universe, if it speaks to you, listen. And as far as flat Earth and ridiculous shit like that, if nothing else, you're asking questions. You're going against the prevailing narrative, and for that, at least, I can commend you. Antarctica, Occult Crime Atlas, High and Deep. Crystal Myth. High Strangeness, Deep Weirdness. The ice remembers. Tune in next week. I think, if I'm remembering my schedule correctly on the episodes coming up, got one more episode that kind of feeds into the multi-part series coming up. It's just a little groundwork I want to lay to essentially impart some of the basic knowledge you'll need going forward, but I kind of alluded partially to what the series entails, what the main topic is. I wasn't like super sneaky about it. I don't know, whatever. But yeah, please tune in. I've had a lot of fun researching this. I'm having a lot of weird feelings about it. Weird ones, strange ones. And it's something that I think will inappropriately touch everyone, no matter where you're from or what you think or believe. It affects us all, man. So stay tuned for that. My name is Michael Lecht. This has been Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast, the podcast. Not to be confused with Kooks, Cranks, and Iconoclast, the Pancake Hut. Thanks for listening. I fucking love you guys. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Word of mouth really helps the show because I don't use social media. It's kind of a... I don't know. We tried it once and it was a fucking disaster. So, please, share with your loved ones or people you think might enjoy it. And I really appreciate everyone who listens. Love hearing from you guys. Please leave comments. Even if it's to disagree with some of the finer points, I'm open, as always, to constructive criticism or just to expound upon theories and ideas. Lay it on me. Sake it to me. Yeah. One love. God bless. See you guys on the next one. You are freaking out, man. Oh!